Hello friends of Sudoku and welcome to a New York Times Hard Sudoku. Today is January 9, 2023. See what this Sudoku has in store for us. Well, there's a 4 here blocking these cells. There's a 4 here blocking these two cells. That makes this a 4. And now the only cell in this box here that can contain a 1 is going to be this one here because the 1 here blocks these 3 cells. And now we have a 6 in the third row and we have a 6 in the top row. We need to find a 6 for the second row and the only place it can go is here. These two cells now have to be a 3 and a 9. There's a 9 up here. That puts a 3 in this cell and a 9 in this. The 3 here blocks these two cells and the 3 here blocks this cell. So a 3 for this column 6 must go here or here. That's not a huge help at this time, but it's worth keeping in mind. This is going to be a 5 or a 9 because the 4 cells we still need for the center column are going to be a 1, 3, 5, and a 9. The 5 and a 9 here makes this a 1, 3, and that's all we can say. Look at the 3, 4, 6, and the 9 here. We need to find cells for them in this row. There is a 6 here and a 9 here, so we can forget about these two. But where can we place the 3 and the 4 now? They can't clearly go in any of these 3 cells, so they need to go here and here. That's also not helping a lot, but now I know for future reference when I look at this box 3 again, that these 2 cells, they are taken, as it were, by a 3 and a 4. We also know that because we only have 2 empty cells in the top row and in this box, the 7 and the 5 need to go here and here because they can't, of course, go in any of these 3 cells. So these cells to be a 7 and a 5, and that gives us these 3 cells. They have to be a 1, 2, and an 8. I'm noticing that this row 5 is pretty restricted. We need to find a 1, 2, 3, 5, and an 8. And I'm looking at this cell here. It can't be a 1, 2, 5. It cannot be a 3 either because, as you remember, we have a 3 blocking this cell. We have a 3 blocking these 2 cells. One of these will have to be a 3. Therefore, this cell cannot be a 3 either. And therefore, it's got to be an 8. This 8 and this 8 puts an 8 here. And that gives me a 2 and a 5 because those are the 2 values still missing from this column. There's a 5 in this row, so this has got to be a 2 and the 5 must go here. And together with the 5 over here, this cell now must be a 5. And seeing how this 2 is now blocking these 3 cells and the 2 here is blocking this cell, this must be a 2, and the 2 here and the 2 here force a 2 to go in one of these 2 cells here. We remember that these 2 cells have to be a 7 and a 5, right? So now where can we place a 2 in these 3 cells? That's right, only here because of these 2's here. So this is a 2. And this is now an 8 or a 7. Speaking of eights, there's an 8 here and there's an 8 here, and that puts an 8 in this cell like so. And I believe we now have the first 1. This cannot be a 1 because it has to be a 7 or a 5. Remember the 7, 5 here, they need to go here and here. And this cell cannot be a 1 because of the 1 here. So this 1 must go here, and this is now also a 7 or a 5. 7 or a 5 and 7 or a 5. There's a 6 to be found in row 4. And since it can't go here or here because of this 6, and it can't go here because of the 6 here, this is where it needs to go. And I think we are closing in on a few new digits. We need to find a 1, 3, 5, and a 9 for these 4 cells. There's a 1, 5, and a 9 in this row. That makes this a 3. And these 3 cells now have to be a 1, 9, and a 5. And a 5 clearly can't go in any of these 2 cells because of this 5. Therefore, the 5 must go here. Now we can find out what this cell is going to be, because these 3 cells must be a 4, 9, and a 3. There's a 4 and a 9 here, by the way, so this is a 3. And these 2 now have to be a 4 and a 9, and that leaves this cell. And that's got to be a 7. These 2 cells now have to be a 1 and a 9, don't they? There's a 9 in the row, so the 1 goes here and the 9 must go here. The only place we can find for a 3 in box 4, because of the 3 here, is right here. Now these 2 cells have to be a 7 and 4. These 2 will have to be a 2 and a 3. And these 3 cells must be a 1, 4, and a 6. There's a 6 here and there's a 4 here. That makes this a 1. For the bottom row, we need to find a 1, 4, 6, 8, and a 9. 1, 4, 6, 9. All bear down on this little cell here, so that's going to be an 8. And now the 8 here and the 7, 5 here puts an 8 in one of these 2 cells, doesn't it? And that means that an 8 for the top row must go in one of these 3 cells. And these 2 8s block these 2 cells, therefore this must be an 8. The top row still needs a 1, 5, and a 7. There's a 1 and a 7 in this column, making this a 5. And that makes this, of course, now a 7 and this a 5. And these 2 7s and the 7s here puts a 7 in this cell like so. We need to find a 9 still for this row, and it can't go here because of this 9. So the 9 will go here, and this now must be a 2. We only need one more cell for this column, and that's a 3. This, of course, must be a 1, and that makes this a 1 as well. We don't need a lot of explanations for that, I think. These 2 cells have to be a 4 and a 3. They can't be resolved just now, I think. These 2 cells have to be a 2, 3. Can't solve that. And these 2 cells must be a 6 and a 4. We'll have to look elsewhere for the next digit, I think. Yes, and we'll have to go to row 8 to find a 5, because there's a 5 here and here blocking these 2 cells, therefore this must be a 5. And now these 2 have to be a 1 and a 6. There's a 6 in this column, so the 1 must go here and the 6 here. And that gives us a 6 for this place, and also a 6 here, making this a 4. Making this a 4, of course, and this now must be a 3. Making this a 3, and this has got to be a 2, making this a 2, and this is now a 9. You see how we can do all of this without pencil marks? Because if you were using pencil marks, then you would do something like this. 4, 9, 4, 9. You would have done this at a very early stage in this puzzle because that's when we found the 4 and the 9. But as I've demonstrated, we can easily remember that these have to be a 4 and a 9. Once we've isolated those two, there's no doubt anymore. And now that we have found this 9, this is of course going to be a 4 and this must be a 9. The 4 here and the 4 here completes this row, and now this cell must be a 4 as well. This is finally going to be a 7, making this a 7, 2. This must be a 5. And now the last cell here is an 8, making this an 8, and this is going to be a 1. This was, again, quite an easy New York Times hard puzzle, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you will come back for more soon. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.